learn the speaking rules. These rules might sound strange to many students, but these are the most important rules. So we are going to give you some magical tips to improve your speaking skills. We teach how to apply the knowledge from theory to practice. Just try these simple rules. You will be amazed how you can improve your English speaking skills. Number 1. Don't study grammar too much. If you want to pass examinations, yes, then study grammar. However, if you want to become fluent in English, then you should try to speak English without studying grammar too much, as it will only slow you down and confuse. I can confidently say this with experience. I have been teaching English for more than 10 years. However, many of my students know more details about English grammar, but they can't speak fluently. However, the students who knows the phrase are fluent in English and can read, speak, listen and communicate effectively. That is why in our video series we share many sentence patterns students to speak first. Number 2. Learn and enjoy studying phrases. As we shared many of phrases for you to practice, you can practice and know by yourself. Many students learn vocabulary and try to put many words together to create a proper sentence. It amazes me how many words some of my students already know, but still they cannot create a proper sentence. The reason is because they didn't study phrases. If you know 1000 words, you might not be able to say one correct sentence, but if you know one phrase, you can make hundreds of correct sentences. If you know 100 phrases, you will be surprised at how many correct sentences you will be able to say or speak. Finally, when you know only 1000 phrases, you are fluent in English, definitely. Reading and listening is not enough. Practice speaking what you hear. Reading, listening and writing are the most important aspect as well as speaking in any language. The same is true for English. However, speaking is the only requirement to be fluent. Once you learn about 3 skills, you need to practice. Here are the 2 main problems that affects your speaking. First problem, it is strange that schools across the world teach reading first, then writing, then listening, and finally speaking. Although it is different, the main reason is because when you learn a second language, you need to read material to understand and learn it. That's true. So even though the natural order is listening, speaking, reading, then writing. As my experience in teaching, I always give everyone to speak about few topics to make them confident about speaking. It doesn't matter how many mistakes you are making while you are speaking, but you have to try to speak first. Second problem. The reason many people can read and listen is because that's all they practice. But in order to speak English fluently, you need to practice speaking. That is why I use speaking topic once a week in every class. Speak out loud, I ask them. The material you are listening to and practice what you hear. Practice speaking out loud until your mouth and brain can do it without any effort. By doing so, you will be able to speak English fluently. Number 4, surround yourself with English. This is the important part when you are learning English. Being able to speak a language is not related to how smart you are. This is a proven fact by everyone in the world can speak at least one language. Whether you are intelligent or lacking some brain power, you are able to speak one language because It was achieved by being around that language at all times. In your country, you hear and speak your language constantly. You will notice that many people who are good English speakers are the ones who studied in an English speaking schools. They can speak English not because they went to an English speaking school, but because they had an environment where they can be around English speaking people constantly. That is why it is very important to surround yourself with English. You don't have to go anywhere to become a fluent English speaker. You only need to surround yourself with English. You can do this by making rules with your existing friends that you will only speak English wherever you go outside. Let everyone to speak English. We did this in our workplaces and it worked very well. That is why I am confidently saying you to do the same. It's all how you think about the language. The more you try it, the more you are fluent at it. Try to speak English as much as you can. 5. Study correct material and qualified teachers. This is the biggest issue where we could see anywhere in the world. Most of the schools are lacking correct materials and the qualified teachers. It is important that you study materials that is commonly used by most people. Another problem we see is that many students study the news. However, the language they speak is more formal and the content they use is more political and not used in regular life. It is important to understand what they are saying, but this is more of an advanced lesson that should be studied after learning the fundamental basics of English. Listening to news can improve your listening, but the words that they are using that we don't use in regular life. Studying English with a less experienced teacher or not qualified teachers is both good and bad. Sometimes it is convenient what you know to speak whether it is right or wrong, although you need to study or speak with qualified teacher or native English teacher to be fluent in English, as this is the ultimate goal in your life. But you might pick up bad habits from one another if you are not sure about what are correct and incorrect sentences. That is why you need to study with qualified teachers. So we hope you can use these practices as guidelines to practice the correct material you studied and not only to learn how to say sentences. Thank you very much for listening. This is a very short video and we just help you to know the speaking rules, as we think these are the most important rules to help you to achieve your goal of speaking English correctly and fluently. Stay with us, learn how to learn. We hope you enjoyed these simple rules for improving your speaking skills.